Hey, welcome back to the podcast. I am delighted to have Bill Leverty joining me again for part two. The first time we spoke, Bill, what was that about? I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe 6 months ago. It was fantastic conversation. Got to catch up with everything FireHouse has been doing recently, which is a ton. And so it's great to have you back on the show. It's great to see you again. And yeah, Bill, how are you?
Doing great, Pat. Thanks so much for having me back, man. Great to be here.
So I wanted to start with just a little bit of a story and what sort of prompted me to reach back out, because it was such a fun experience, and I gave you a little idea over email, but I think the audience will enjoy it too. So I was taking the kids to the Y. They do all the sort of the rec sports there, and as is only customary, we typically have Hair Nation on, right? And just we for a lot of times we had the volume down because we're just chatting. There's a lot of noise, but we heard what we thought was an interview with Bill Leverty from FireHouse coming up. So of course, all FireHouse fans, we said, stop everything at once, turn it up. What's going on here? And so we turned it up, and sure enough, you were coming on Hair Nation to discuss something I was unaware of, that you guys had a new song coming out. And this was a really cool experience because not only did I have the kids there, and we all love music together, it's something we all enjoy together. But it brought me back because we all waited outside of the Y for the premiere of the song. And I can't remember the last time I had to wait for the premiere of something I was really excited about. These days you can just download or stream anything instantly and it's yours. And it was cool to kind of have that experience with the kids and totally unexpected too, just like by pure chance. You came on and we listened through the new song. Amazing, by the way. I want to make sure we talk a good bit about it. Yeah. Really, really great stuff. But the whole of just, having to wait for something, enjoy it, and then not even immediately be able to have it again right away. You know what I mean? I love, all the conveniences we have, but there's something about only being able to catch something in a fleeting moment that one time. And back in the old days. So I don't know, give me your thoughts on any and all that, Bill. It was a cool experience for us. I just wanted to share that with you and everyone else.
Well, thank you. That's cool, man. Well, we finished the song, and we had a gig coming up in Illinois, Des Plaines, Illinois, at the Des Plaines Theater.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to play our new song live. It's called Midnight Gasoline. And we really wanted to play it live. And we didn't want to play it without it being available. So we made it available on the website only, firehousemusic.com, the only place you can get it. And so we thought, we'll call Eddie Trunk, our buddy, and see if he would play it. And he said he liked it, and he said he wanted to play it. So, and he said, hey, you want to come on at 6 o'clock and talk about it? I was like, absolutely. So, I thought it'd be, 2 minutes of, talking about the new song. He had me on for 20 minutes, and we talked about all kinds of stuff and the industry and what we're doing. So anyway, we got to play the song, let people know that the new song's available at our website only. It's not on streaming yet. It will be eventually, but we'd rather you go get it from our website.
Absolutely, yeah.
It supports us, gives us, makes us feel good and wanting to do more. And so anyway, we played the song, and a lot of people seem to have liked it. So it's really good. And then we played it live at the Des Plaines Theater, and it went over really well. So it worked.
Yeah, excellent. Well, no surprise. Like I said, it's a winner. There's always the kid test, right? What song are they requesting in the car? And immediately, right away, they kept requesting Midnight Gasoline. So it's past that test. You're good to go. Talk to me, Bill, if you don't mind, about the production of the song. How did it start out? What was the kind of seed of the idea and all that? I'm always kind of interested in hearing what all went into the composition and production of these sorts of things. Yeah.
Well, the last song that we had done, Nate, our new singer, said, hey, send me a riff. And I said, okay. So I sent him a riff, and he came up with all this great stuff on it. And we wrote the song with the riff first. And he's just a really talented guy. And with this one, at sound checks for the last several years, I've been sound checking when it's my turn. You have to wait your turn at
Yeah, I
sound
know.
check.
It's such a
When it's
bummer.
my turn to check the guitar, so our front of house guy Tony can make sure everything's good. He'll say, "Okay, play," and he wants me to play something, a rhythm. So I'd had this rhythm for a long time, and I've been playing it at sound check to test my guitar. Uh, and then Nate said, "Man, I really like that riff." And I said, "Well, hey man, send me a title so we can work on it." And Nate sent me that title, Midnight Gasoline. And I just thought that was the coolest title. It fit the riff really well. And so then I stuck myself in this room and just went crazy on it. And that's kind of how it happened to me. We Nate sang his stuff in his studio and emailed it to me. Unlike the last one where he came down here from Michigan to Virginia,
Right.
he's got a studio, and so he sang all his parts there, and the other guys came here and we recorded everything else here. And I mean, I took forever on trying to get the guitars the way I liked them, but it finally worked, and we
Yeah.
mixed it here, and it was done. So we got it done in time to do that show at the Des Plaines Theater.
Yeah. Now you're doing all the mixing. You're handling all the production these days, Bill.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, really good job. Honestly, it's
Thank you.
it's so well produced. When you're creating a song like this, aside from the riffs, talk to me about how you go about your lead parts. The leads are awesome in the song, as always. Just and in a minute, I want to talk about guitar solos in songs in particular. But take me through your kind of creative, or thought process, if you have one. Do you just kind of just jam around and certain parts stick and you build out from there? Or do you have more of a structured approach to it? Just kind of curious how you go about these things. Yeah.
It's a little bit of both.
Mhm.
I jam around and play around, but what I'm trying to do is create a little composition within the composition.
Yeah.
And the idea with this one was, because the song is about a young couple making a drive across the country, it's got to get a little dangerous there for a minute.
Right.
They have a little bit of car trouble or something. So there's a little bit of a spooky moment when the solo kicks in, and then it gets into more fun and shredding at the end. So that was the idea. And then I think one of the things that's helped me in my approach to try to write a solo is thinking more about the backing tracks than the solo itself, trying to make the backing tracks have contrast to what was going on previously in the verse or chorus, instead of doing the verse or chorus music, which we've done before, and sometimes that's the best way to go. But this song kind of spoke to me and said, let's change things up a little bit in the solo here and come up with something different, and have things change. And so I changed some things around a little bit and made things get a little bit more, I don't know, a little more syncopation in some parts, and then kind of explode. And so that's kind of thing. With this one, I always want to try to throw in the latest licks that I'm
Of course. Yeah.
working on when I'm just playing, and I want to throw them all in, but they don't all fit, but the ones that I did put in there are some of the ones that when I come down here and just play, those are the ones that, I just start fiddling around with. So that's how that works.
One thing I really love about the song, of course, the lead sections, but it was another song that sort of reminded me of something that I don't know if it's lost or if I'm just not paying enough attention. I think maybe it's lost. You don't see it on social media that much anymore. It's just guitar solos in songs and guitarists in bands. If you're in the kind of guitar world, and a lot of what's going on online is you'll have these amazing technicians, right? He'll do the something incredibly pyrotechnic on the fretboard, but it's very isolated. It's a 10-second, 20 second clip. And to me, the most exciting thing, and not to discount any of what's going on. I mean, that's the stuff that is done is amazing. But there's just something about a guitar solo in a song and a guitarist in a band that is just particularly special. And just, hearing your new tune and hearing that was like a great example that kind of brings you back. Another example that, somewhat recently was Extreme's latest album maybe had that feeling too, you know. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Are those still out there? I'm just not paying attention, but I just whenever I hear it, it seems like it's rare. But your song, Extreme, a few others, like really just maybe yearn for the good old days, I guess, right? Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think a lot of things changed in the early 90s with the change of the way that rock music was embraced by the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of guitar solos kind of took a back seat. I think the drums took a front seat.
Yeah.
A lot of great drumming in that era. But you know, it kind of left guys like you and me going, man, I kind of long for the shredding solo, or just a lot of energy in the solo and a lot of melody. I mean, I love the fact that a lot of those alternative bands that came out would have melody in the song, but a lot of times it was the same melody as the vocal melody. And that left me wanting more, you know, and I guess you always want to leave them wanting more. You don't want to leave them wanting less, but I always want to hear some energy in the guitar. And my ear was drawn to the guitar at a very early age, like yours, I'm sure.
Yep.
I still listen for it. And I want to put something in our songs that makes people kind of have that feeling of, wow, I really like guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still working on that, but you know, one day maybe we'll achieve it. But that is a thing that I think is a little bit missing, but it's coming back. There are a lot of great new bands and a lot of great new players that you can tell they've really been practicing. And, and it helps because I think the industry is missing that. I think, you know, the guitar centers around the country and Sam Ash, you know, music, what happened with them and all, we need more guitar players out there, and we need more inspiration to get people to want to play guitar. And it's a great instrument. I mean, I just love it. So
yeah, it's my favorite, right? I like the other ones too, but I'm always inclined towards guitar. You say something interesting, and it relates to what you said when you were approaching you know, your parts for Midnight Gasoline, that there's a story that you're trying to tell. And you know, not to be overly fawning, but I think you always did a great job of that, of sort of, you know, there's one thing to have a solo in a song. I should have been more precise, but a solo that really serves the song and plays for the song. I mean, there's tons of metal out there that's really impressive, lots of technical licks, but I don't know if it like extends the story in any sense, right? And to me, that's sort of what a good solo does somehow. It adds to the story of the song. I always thought you did a good job of that. I mean, I know one of my favorites of yours is Lover's Lane. I love what you did in that one.
Thank you.
It just fits the song so well. So even though you say like you always want to try and fit your favorite licks of the day, and who doesn't, right? It seems like you have a sort of filtering process there or something where you're actively thinking about how this serves the song, how it, you know, advances whatever story it is you're trying to tell.
Absolutely. And and trying to develop the story so that the listener can go on a little trip, and then you get off and take a little bit of a left turn, and then you come back and you end up back in you know, where you were. And it makes it interesting, I think, for the listener if you can do that. And you know, some of my favorite guitar solos were really short. They were, you know, 16 bars or whatever, and they just blew me away. Eddie Van Halen was the master at it.
Right.
And then I think about some of my other favorite guitar solos that are compositions that are really long, that were really put together in a masterful way. Stranglehold by Ted Nugent. I mean, that's a genius guitar solo to me.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Hotel California is another genius guitar solo. I mean, it's such a well-written solo. Another one of my favorite ones is Rock Bottom by UFO. Michael Schenker wrote one of the best guitar solos, especially the live version. I think he really goes nuts on that. But some of these really long, extended guitar solos that always keep your interest and always make you go, what's coming next? And then you listen to it. I probably listened to Stranglehold, you know, a couple thousand times in my life, and I still love listening to it. That's something that's really cool, I think.
Yeah, it's funny. Shortly after we saw you guys last summer, we saw Ted Nugent I think my ears are still ringing from that. That still had to be the loudest show I have ever seen. It was so unbelievably loud. So how he has any hearing left is beyond me. But it was a great show, amazing. Just
I
the energy. Yeah. Mhm.
I saw him in either 74 or 75 when he was out on tour with that album, that Ted Nugent album, and that was the loudest concert I've ever seen as well. It was in a smaller theater. It was
Mm.
maybe a 3,000 seat theater in Richmond, Virginia. It's called the Altria Theater now. It used to be called the Richmond Mosque, and it it changed my life. It made me go. It was so powerful, and just his playing just made me go, I want to play guitar.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, for me, that was, it's cool to hear some of your influences. For me, it was, AC/DC, Angus Young. I think
Oh,
he's another good example. I couldn't imagine like anything from Back in Black or anything else. You couldn't imagine the guitar solos not being there. Right.
and another guy who just made the picked the perfect notes and put together the perfect solo over top of the coolest rhythms. Angus, genius guitar player. You know.
Yeah, yeah, always will be one of my favorites. So before we turn, I want to nerd out with you a little bit more on gear and guitar stuff too. But first, what do you? So you have this new song out, and I kind of know the answer to this because I heard it on Hair Nation, but I think it'd be interesting for other people to hear. You guys working towards a full album? Do you have what do you have in the queue? Is there another one you're already working on? Be curious to hear.
Got a few ideas. We're
Hmm.
always working on trying to come up with something new to take to the end.
Hmm.
We got a bunch of little ideas that are good. I think that we can work on. But our way of doing it nowadays is one song at a time because we can put all of our focus and energy into that one song. So it's as good as we can get it. Whereas when you do 10, sometimes you let little things slip by as it might be a little more, where you look back later and go, yeah, I wish we'd spent more time on that one or
Sure.
whatever. So
Yeah.
really want all of our songs coming out to be as good as they can be. And so that's the way we're going to do it. One at a time. Once we get 10, we'll press them up and have a CD out there.
Yeah, well, can't wait for that. I'll be curious. I'm curious to hear, and you guys are nailing it so far. So, your first album, and like how you guys went about creating and producing in those earlier years. Did you have pretty much all the material for your first album, down well before you guys were actually in the studio? And then, like, what about the second album? Was it a case where you guys were then pushed into the studio again pretty quickly? And was it like a Van Halen, the story behind Van Halen 2, right? Is they had like nothing left and they had to get stuff out really quickly. Still an amazing album. I'd be curious to hear that story and yeah, like how it compares to your the way you guys are approaching it today. I'm sure it's pretty different. Mhm.
Yeah, it's different. Touring is way different, but when we got our first record, ready to go, we had all those songs written, and actually we had recorded them several times previously.
Mhm.
Dana Strum produced our demo that we had an indie deal, and he produced 8 songs. He and Mark Slaughter produced 8 songs for us, and did a great job. And the deal was with that was, hey, look, we're going to try to get a major label deal. If we don't, we're going to release it independently on this
Mhm.
label that we had to deal with. And we wound up getting a major label deal. So we went and re-recorded all those songs again. Plus we had written a couple of more. We had written All She Wrote, which was one that had become a single. And
Yeah.
we wrote Love of a Lifetime.
Mhm.
And so those 2 songs weren't on that demo that preceded the recording of our debut album, but we had recorded it before in my little 4 track.
Yeah, so pretty well rehearsed at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, so we knew exactly what we needed to do to go in and
Mhm.
knock it out. Then, right when we got done with that record, we were on the road and we had a bus, and I took out a little 4-track recorder and a little drum machine with me, and on nights off, I'd write,
Mhm.
and CJ would too, and then at the end of the tour, which was with it started off, it was the first tour was with Slaughter, Then we went out that summer with Warrant and Trickster. And after we were done, or I should say, we were almost done. We stopped and played a place near New York City. And our manager said, "Hey, Tommy Mottola would like to meet with you guys up in his office." We were like, "Damn, Tommy Mottola." He was the head of Sony Music back then. So Columbia Records and Epic Records and some of the other labels that were under that umbrella. The head guy wanted to meet with us. And basically what he said was, you can't have the material for your second record ready soon enough. And we had been writing. So we said, we're ready. And he said, okay. And we got the word maybe 3 days later, it's time to go back in the studio. So they booked studio time in the same studio with the same producer, same engineer, same team. And we went in and we knocked out the second record. So we had done our homework, which was good, because had we not, we would have been scrambling to try to get material.
Yeah. And when you knocked it out, how long was start to finish? How long were you guys in the studio for that one?
Pre-production for probably, I don't know, 10 days. Then I'm going to guess the whole shebang of the whole thing was probably a couple of months. And then they mixed it. By the time they were mixing it, we had already gotten an offer to go out with Tesla for a tour. So we left to go out on the road with Tesla. It was going to be a 6-week tour, and it ended up being a 9-month tour. So that was great. It was a great tour. So we were on the road when the record was done being mixed, and we listened to it, and we were really happy with the team and what they had done in mixing it and mastering it. And we were out on the road, and when the first single of that came on, it was "Reach for the Sky," and Michael Foster called in MTV, and they played our video on MTV at a time when they weren't really playing bands of our genre anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I think they played it one time. So.
Okay. Hey, well, one is better than none, and it's a fantastic tune. So, I just had another thought that I was going to follow up with there, but now it has escaped me. Well, when you're doing here it is. It came back to me. All right. So obviously you've taken over a lot of the production duties. How did you go about learning and studying that? Is that something that always interested you, or was it something that you just got into out of necessity? I'm sure you probably look back and, maybe wish you could have picked the brains of some of the people who produced your previous album, but what could you do? You're already out touring, right? So didn't really have the option to study it under them, I take it.
Well, I was trying to learn from everybody along the way. I had a 4-track machine, a Tascam little 4-track cassette recorder since, I'm going to guess, 1984, something like that. And I was a demo enthusiast, so I'd record our demos all the time and learning how to do that and how to bounce tracks. And then, I learned a lot from Dana Strum. He was really, really good producer. He was really good. And then from the engineering side of things, I learned a lot from David Prater and Doug Oberkirker also, who did our first 2 records. Wealth of knowledge there. I didn't get to watch them mix anything, but I still would ask questions when we had time and stuff. But our third record was produced by a world-class producer engineer named Ron Nevison. And Ron, every time we ate lunch every day, and he would always give me information and stuff. And then when it came time to mix, Chris Lord-Alge mixed our third record, and I got to spend a little time with Chris. I mean, he didn't want us hanging out in the room while he mixed, but I could come in afterwards and ask questions, and he was very generous with his knowledge. And then when it came time for our fourth record, which I had produced in a studio in Sarasota, Florida, where the Allman Brothers had done some work.
Yeah.
And we had it mixed by a great mix engineer in Miami, and Eric Schilling is his name. Fantastic engineer. And I got to sit in there the whole time for that mix. So you don't want to talk when these guys are working. You just want to observe and learn. And I learned a lot from Eric Schilling as well. I mean, he's really, really good. He's also a great live engineer. He mixed Gloria Estefan, her live band, which is probably 30 pieces of 30 instruments, with that band. So I got to learn from Eric Schilling a lot as well. So it was, and I also have a great friend of mine named Mark Severance, who's an engineer who taught at Full Sail, taught SSL automation. And Mark has been a great friend of ours for years and engineered some of our earlier recordings as well. And so learning from him, and he mixed our 5th record.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to learn as much as I can. You never learn enough.
Right.
With audio engineering or producing, and it's something I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, well, it sounds great, Bill. So I mean, I kind of like it if I can avoid it. It's interesting to see. I know it's super controversial. All the AI tools. I'm old school. I remember last time we talked about modelers, and I'm still using the lugging around the Friedman amp. But every gig, I get increasingly more tempted just to pick up the Axe effects or something like that.
Just wait for your lower back to act up, and you'll go try one of these Axe effects. Or mine is an FM3, and it sounds I love the thing. It sounds great. Every night it sounds great. And another thing I might add about mixing and that is listening to your bandmates, and especially for me, listening to Michael Foster, our drummer, because nobody focuses in on the drums like your drummer.
Of course.
And he really has a great ear for the whole picture, but especially the drums. He's been listening to drums his whole life, been playing since he was 3. And so he can tell when he wants something turned up a little bit or turned down a little bit to make the drum performance really explode in that track.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really helps, instead of being a guy who, I'm just going to do it my way. It's good to listen to everybody else and get their input. I think it's really helped to make the end result its best.
Yeah, and what a phenomenal drummer. I was when I was at your guys' show last year. I didn't get the whole thing, but I got a clip of it because he put on one of the coolest drum solos I've seen a number, right? But man, he hits that kit so hard, and his groove is so tight. It was just also cool. Like, you see a number of shows. I don't get out to as many as I used to, but it's just good to see musicians just taking solos again,
Yeah, he's great, and he hits really hard. So there's that dynamic range that he has, and he, like you said, his groove is just so easy to play with because he's just got such perfect time, without sounding like a drum machine. It's just amazing, and I'm so lucky to have been able to play with him since '84. We got together.
84. Wow, was that? Yeah, I was gonna ask actually because it was you two were the first ones, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So that's a deep connection you build over those years of playing with each other. So now talk to me about like your tour prep. Do you even rehearse your own songs anymore? You've been playing them for so long, or is the live performance just all the rehearsal you need at this point?
I go through every. Yeah. I have to start singing, a few days before we go out and do a show, and always go through everything. Some of the stuff I only have to go through once, but I think of my brain as kind of like a computer, in that I've only got so much RAM.
I feel that.
And I don't have much RAM. And if the song isn't in my RAM, then when the song's going along at the show, I kind of can forget what's coming up next, because you have to be thinking ahead, and you don't want to really be thinking. You want to just enjoy the moment and just let the music come out of you. If it's in the RAM, then you're good. If it's way back on the hard drive somewhere and you haven't gone through it, then that's when the brain farts happen, and you don't want that. So I always do that. I always go through my solo and trying to put something new in my solo every time to make it different. That's something I'm always working on.
I like your analogy a lot, and I've fallen into that. And just one of our most recent gigs, I took something for Grant. It was Jamie's Crying, and like the chorus to it. It was like in a million years, I would have never guessed that I would blank on how to play the chorus because we played the song a million times, but I just got lazy. I didn't refresh. It comes up on, you pull these blanks. You're like, wait, how does this go again? I did some, wankery and whammy bar stuff to kind of cover it up, and it came back the second time through, but it wasn't immediately there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I've done that. I've been there, bro.
So I get nervous if I don't stay fresh on stuff, and that's why. Just because I've had that situation a number of times that I tend to just kind of almost over rehearse. But I've also not been playing material anywhere near as long as you have. So,
but I'm nervous before every show, and especially if I haven't practiced much, and I gotta warm up before for a while, just to refresh everything again, especially the leads or the solos of these songs, and especially the new ones. I got to go through that stuff again because that's not really ingrained in the RAM.
Well, talk to me about that, because that's always really interesting to hear. I mean, a lot of young new musicians, they'll often ask, and I've gotten this, from local guys, like, hey, what do you do to not be nervous getting on stage? And I say, I don't know. I'm always nervous. Always nervous, right? This is just, and then the thing that kind of like made me feel a little bit better is hearing stuff from people like you and other people who've done so much more and had such bigger shows. And even Eddie Van Halen, I remember, apparently he had terrible, terrible, terrible nerves all the time. This is what his brother said. I think that contributed to some of the substance issues. But setting that aside, you might wonder, how could somebody like that have these nerves? But then, kind of a few things kind of clicked for me over time is like, the further along you get, the more expectations people have of you. So it actually kind of makes sense. If anything, he should be more nervous than people expect Eddie Van Halen, right? And then and I heard you say this in another interview I think you did a couple years ago. It makes sense because you care and you want to do a good job. So yeah, talk to me about all that. And of course, I would still like to know, like, if you have any tricks for controlling the adrenaline nerves. So always looking for something, right, to help ease that.
I don't. If anybody has any ideas, please send them to me because I'm nervous every show.
Yep.
Practice. And I never get enough practice in. I practice during the week, and most of our shows are on weekends. And I always go out there going, gosh, I wish I had worked on this little part a little bit more because I don't know if I really have it down yet. And it just takes time to do that. But, and the thing about a one guitar band is that you got nowhere to hide.
I know. Yeah, I know.
You're out there and if you have a clunker, it's right out there for everybody to hear. But that kind of makes you work a little bit harder too in your little rehearsal space because none of us want to be embarrassed.
Right.
That's
100%,
the worst thing. I don't want to embarrass the other guys. So, the pressure is on, but and I haven't learned really how to deal with it. I think some shows I'm more nervous than others. It doesn't matter whether it's a big one or a small one. If we're playing a smaller place, sometimes I'll just be a ball of nerves before we go.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
It's just whatever the circumstances are that make you nervous. I try to avoid caffeine, but I love my green tea, so there's, but I don't really know, other than having a little bit of time before you go on to really go through, all your little parts and think it through and really look at that set list and think about how that one song's going to go into the next one and then what we're going to do and then how am I going to start this and make sure I've got those little details ready. But stuff happens. We're human. And then whenever I do make a mistake, I just have to remind myself I'm human. It's going to happen.
The vast majority of people don't even notice anyways, right? Yeah. That's so cool to hear this from you. Just a little bit more on it because I'm so interested in this. Is for you, are there any particular songs? I'm in a cover band, right? So lots of different stuff, but I have a couple nightmare songs, right? And it's always like, where do you we have Hot for Teacher and a few things that are just like just kick my butt all over the place, right? So the trick is like, where do you put the nightmare song, right? You don't want it too early because you're not warmed up yet, but you also just like want to get it over with, so you're not like nervous until it's done. You know what I mean? So like that's always curious if there's any of those like even within your own material set
Yeah.
that really make you sweat, and it's like the placement's kind of difficult, you know?
Well, definitely, I do a little solo every night, and that's one that I
Yep.
I have anxiety leading up to that, and then in the middle of it, sometimes I'm thinking too hard about, oh gosh, I hope it's hope I don't mess this next part up. That kind of will trip you up. You got to think, or I have to think that people are just there to enjoy the music, and they're not really judgmental like we are.
Right.
So most people aren't really um, that hooked into that like we are. So I have to think about that. But the solo, there's Overnight Sensation, which has a hard solo in it. I have to go over
Yeah.
that one before we go out there. And then the two new ones are ones that I'm nervous.
You're cooking with gas in those ones, Bill. Yeah.
Midnight
Yeah.
Gasoline is got a
Literally.
hard
Yeah.
solo in it, and just got a lot of um, little bells and whistles in there that I got to remember. And if I forget one, then it's not the end of the world, but I still want to get them right. And then the other one, Mighty Fine Lady, that one's got a pretty hard solo in there too. That's hard to nail. So I want to get them as good as I can.
Yeah. It's funny, actually, there's a little bit of like nerves for a while when we first started doing your song, Don't Treat Me Bad. You're right. That beginning is a tricky little sucker. And even for me, because I just do it on my Friedman guitar. So it's just a volume swell thing and making sure I have the volume going back and forth in the right level for that. That for a little while was kind of one that gave me a bit of nerve. Pretty comfortable with it now. The solo I'm still probably doing all wrong, but well,
Me too.
all right, good. That makes me feel better then. But yeah, it's just funny how some songs can trip you up in ways you don't always expect too,
Yeah, with Don't Treat Me Bad, I really have to get over close to Michael, who's keeping the hi-hat groove going, and I really got to lock in with him. And if I'm not near that, then I'm off somewhere in La La Land while he's going, hey, come on over here, Bill. Here's where the groove is.
Yeah.
So I really try to get really next to his hi-hat so I can listen to that and not listen to me as much. If I'm listening to his click, he's the click track.
Right.
Listening to that, then it helps to where I can go and let him pull me along instead of me thinking where the time is and then him having to adjust to me. I want to play after him. And, I want to listen to his kick drum too throughout the show, because his kick drum has a lot of the groove in it. And if you're not hearing that kick and all you're hearing is the snare, then you're missing. I tend to rush. I tend to get ahead of the beat a little bit.
Me too.
Really want to hear that kick drum. It doesn't have to be crushing me, but I want to be able to hear where it is. And so I want a little bit of that everywhere on the stage so I can.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really cool to hear this, because I've seen you guys live. I've seen lots of live clips, and you would never know, because you always sound so on point. It always sounds great. So
thanks, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
For all the clunkers.
Well, here's the other thing, right? I guess, earlier in your guys' career, nobody ever wants a clunker. But even for me as a local musician, man, everybody's got their cameras out now, right? So now, like, your clunkers will just live on forever on YouTube. And like, oh man, so it's an extra sort of like, I can't imagine what it is, because you guys at the scene, you guys, everyone had their cameras out too, of course. So I don't know. Is that something you think about too, or do you try not to think about it? Because it's really
I try not to think
really
about
annoying,
it too hard. If you think about it too hard, I'll get so nervous and I'll go, oh, I suck. Why am I even here? So I try not to even think about it and think, hey, just got to live in the moment, and we're just going to have as much fun as we can tonight. And hopefully the people in the audience are having fun too.
And it works both ways, because I'm sure you've had nights and stuff like that where you're like, oh, I wish that we recorded that or was on film, but then it's gone, right? But now if everyone's filming, you have a chance to catch the cool stuff as well as the clunkers, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if we have 2 in a row or 3 in a row, the second and or the third show are always better than the first, because the first we're kind of shaking the dust off and getting the cobwebs out. And by the time we get to the second show, our voices are in better shape. Our, we're more focused on the songs that we played last night. And it's always striving for perfection, but we're not perfect. So that's That's the challenge. We want a perfect show. I've never played one, but one day maybe, you know.
Yeah, maybe. Let me know what that feels like.
Okay.
So on stage now, all right. So you're using the model. We talked about that last time. Are you doing in-ears or using wedge? I can't remember if I saw your setup last time I saw you guys live.
Yeah, I just use wedges. I tried in-ears for a while, for actually 2 shows back maybe 15, maybe 20 years ago. It's probably more like 20 years ago, yeah, or maybe 22 years ago, something like that. And it was when I had amps that were behind me that were loud, and I'd step up to my mic and get the mic really loud in my ears so I could hear really well, and then I'd step away, and all I heard was guitar. So I was like, this isn't going to work unless I put my amps on the side of the stage or something. And so I gave my ears rack and patch, everything, ears pack and everything to CJ. So he had that as a backup rig.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, I've just been using wedges, and the only thing in my front wedges is my voice. And in the side fills, I have some guitar and kick drum.
Okay, interesting. So you're really just kind of listening to the house.
Yeah, and a little bit of backline. I got my FM3 going through a little bit of backline back there, but side fills mainly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's been working for me lately.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I'm with you. I don't like to use in-ears only if I'm like forced to by the place, and I'm always like curious, and I mean, you're are people of kind of that the FireHouse that you guys were coming up with is that a shared mentality? I always try, like when I'm watching one of my favorite bands, I always try to pause and like zoom in. I'm like, do they have ears in? Just curious. And it's like doesn't look like it, a lot of them do a lot of times, right?
Well, CJ loved them. Once he got in ears, he never wanted to go back. Unfortunately, they never went out on him. Maybe one show or something. But once you get your mic loud enough and you don't have to push, in-ears are the way to go if you're a singer. As a guitar player, like I said with mine, I had the backline firing into my mic and my guitar was too loud, and then so I couldn't get that balance right. But I guess now if I went direct and turned all the amps off, it would be great. But I haven't gone over that hump yet to say, yeah, I'll do it. We've talked about it, but it's a lot more gear to bring out on the road when we do these fly dates. So it doesn't work for me. Our drummer loves them. So he's using them. He used them for a while, and then he was like, yeah, I'm tired of this. I just want to have a drum box back there. And it was like a little PA system for him.
Yeah.
And but I think it was so loud that he decided, yeah, I'm going to save my hearing and put these ears back in and turn them down a little bit, get the balance right in his ears. Alan on the stage right, our bass player, he uses wedges and side fills too. So but a lot of bands are using them. We just did one with Warrant. All those guys are in ears.
Are they now?
They love it, and I think there's pros and cons to it, and the pros probably outweigh the cons. But for a band like us, where we're opening up for a band like Warrant, we, in some situations, like in a festival, if we're on next to last or something, we might not get much of a sound check. So if you get up there and your ears don't have what you need in them, then you're not going to be able to play well. So if you just get up there and you got your voice in your wedges, and I tell the monitor guy that's all I need, then I can turn up my guitar in the back with the backline amps and with my FM3 little volume knob, and then I can get a sweet spot.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to check out the FM3 because I was very surprised to learn that that's what you were using, because your tone sounded so good.
Thanks, man. If you get one, I'll send you my my live preset.
Oh yeah, I would love that. Yeah, I would love. I know it would make my life a lot easier. How's the feel of it to you? Because my biggest thing is
just like an amp, just like an amp.
It feels like it too.
If you were to mic a cabinet in the live room there, and then run your mic cable into your control room and set it up, and listen to it through your monitors, it's exactly the same. It's identical. I can't hear the difference.
Yeah.
I don't have the greatest ears in the world, but the feel is identical. It's got the sensitivity when you want it. and the dynamic range, and you roll off your volume knob on the amps that I'm using, and they clean up really nicely. And yeah, it's got 150, 200 amps in there, and 300 cabinets, and every effect a man could want. So,
Well, you may have just sold me just there, because my hesitation was always, am I going to lose that sort of amp feel and the sensitivity? But not an issue, huh?
not for me.
Yeah. Wow. Talk to me.
Really
Yeah. Talk to me about.
Oh, you using a Friedman? I've got a Friedman HBE model in here that I use, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, so I'm on the Friedman Pink Taco Volume 2, and it's just got that old school kind of hot rodded Marshall thing going, and it's too loud. That's my only issue, right? It's just too loud. Yeah.
That's been my saving grace for my hearing, is not having a loud stage volume. But you can't get your tone that you want until you turn it up. You get that output stage of that amp cooking a little bit, and then you go, okay, there's that sag that I want. There's a little bit of feedback that I can get and everything, but it's loud, especially on a small stage.
Yeah.
And if the amps are pushed up close to you, then you're fighting that. It's hard to sing over it.
Yeah.
So that's why I've always had a low stage volume, and that's why I can still hear, because I had to sing, and I don't sing loud.
Yeah, well, that's good. In fact, I'd be curious, like, just in general, how you take care of yourself as a musician. I think this is something that doesn't get talked about enough, and there's lots of things to consider. Hearing is one, right? We know that's the big one for musicians, making sure you're taking care of your hearing. And even though I have a loud amp, I try to take measures to, a lot of times it's as far away from me and turned the other way as possible, right? If nothing else, I tend to be quite protective of my ears. But also your hands and your joints, the wear and tear. You're on the road a lot. Just talk to me about that. Is that something that you're thinking about a lot? Do you need to be pretty regimented with how you take care of yourself, so you're feeling good on gigs and your hands are healthy and all that stuff?
Yeah, I've been really lucky with my hands. I do have to be real careful when I lift luggage, heavy luggage, or when I lift the tailgate of my truck or stuff like that. Because this motion can make this wrist kind of go out, but
Tweaky.
yeah, but that's my picking. Fortunately, this hand's been really good for me. But I take some supplements. I take turmeric.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's good
every day. And I take about 12. I take fish oil. I take a bunch of stuff every day. And the other thing is, get your sleep. If there's ever I wasn't so much about this when I was younger, but now that I'm getting a little older, now that I'm over 39, I should say, if there's a thing where you can go back to the hotel and get some sleep, or you can stay out and party, I'm always I think I'm going to go get some sleep, because we always have to wake up so early.
Yeah.
So I'm usually kind of anxious to get back and get some sleep, because out on the road you don't get good sleep.
Right.
Not in your own place. The maids are coming in, knocking on the doors at 8 o'clock, and you got in bed at 2, and it's so that's a really important thing for me. And I try to get a little cardio every day. I try to walk 3 miles a day. It's something that I do, and I lift light weights. When I'm at home, I out on the road, if there's a hotel that has a gym, I'll get in there and do a little bit of light lifting, but it's try to get those 3 miles in. It takes about an hour. Sometimes, so I'll walk for an hour. We'll say about what I do every day.
Yeah. But I'm sure all of that has really paid dividends. I mean, performance in general is always demanding, just being on stage or this or that, but especially the kind of guitar you're doing. I mean, it's like, how many people who do, shreddy guitar. I mean, even for me, I was okay for a while, but once I started covering more of Eddie's stuff with the band, I kept getting hurt because he's doing all these crazy stretches and stuff. And I'm like, oh man, I got to modify some of this stuff, because it's not worth it,
When my hands are cold, they'll have a tendency to get a little, maybe tendonitis or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But what I'll try to do is take a hair dryer and in the hotel and warm my hand up.
That's smart.
I wear gloves in the winter all the time, even if it's just, kind of cool. I'll still have those gloves on to try to keep my hands from getting cold, because once they start getting like that, you got to really open that up and get the blood flowing in there. And it's that's where the warm up really comes in handy. I mean, I don't go on stage anymore with just picking up the guitar and tuning it up and then walking out there. I want to play. I want to play for at least an hour, but I don't get an hour. I usually get maybe a half an hour. But
Yeah.
there, and I start slow. Just getting that stuff moving like that, and then I'm, building up to the point of. And I don't start off with real big stretches. I
Right.
start with stuff really comfortable here, and just kind of getting. Then I'll open that up a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. Really smart. Yeah. Thanks for sharing all that, Bill. That's really interesting and helpful. What do you have coming up in terms of shows, and what are you excited about? What do you want people to know about? I know you got stuff with Warren lined up again. I know you've been doing stuff with Lita, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We, well, this next show we're flying out to Vegas. We're going to headline that one at the Golden Nugget. It's our favorite place in Vegas to play. It's Frank Sinatra's old
Very cool.
old room, and it's just a great venue. And so that's the next one. And then we got a bunch that we got for the rest of the spring and summer, and a couple in the fall. And yeah, we love playing. We're going to try to get some more new music out.
So I want to make sure that people immediately go and grab the new tune off of the website. Of course, I love it. Support FireHouse. Such a great tune. If you like FireHouse, you're gonna love this song. And then last question for you now, Bill, is you've done a lot of solo stuff. I know you're very busy with FireHouse right now, but is that you got anything in the works there as well?
No, I'm gonna work on getting some more FireHouse stuff done.
Yeah.
If the one thing I might do is just, if I get so that I'm drawing blanks or I get stuck on a FireHouse song, is maybe do a cover song. But I want to do a cover song that's unexpected and something that I enjoyed when it came out, but I forgot about. So I'm looking for that song to do. That would be kind of a fun song to cover, and that wouldn't take me, a month to record.
Yeah.
Something that would just be fun and entertaining, and I can enjoy doing just in my free time.
Yeah.
So, I have a couple ideas, but I want it to be something that's fun and that wouldn't be what people would expect.
Yeah, I'd be curious what you're thinking of. For me, my mind would be like something off like AC/DC's Power Age album or something.
That would be
like
awesome if I could only sing that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the hard part. That's the problem. Yeah. Right. Well, I don't sing, so I don't have to worry about that part. I would have to hire someone else for that.
I probably can't play it either, like those guys. I mean, they have the best rhythm and the best solos and the best tone.
Yeah. Everyone knows Angus, but Malcolm and his thundering rhythm is talk about a human metronome. The accuracy, the viciousness, the tone is so incredible. I'll sometimes just listen to his isolated live tracks from AC/DC Live. You listen to Heat Seeker. It's like, this man is a machine. It's incredible, right? Yeah.
I haven't heard that. I'll have to go look for that. But yeah, the guy had perfect time and just the best tone. It wasn't clean by any means, and it wasn't really dirty either. It was like that perfect. Now, I think Def Leppard also has like great guitar tones. They're not real dirty and fuzzy. They're pretty clean, but they cut through and sit in there just long enough and just have that beautiful tone. I'm still working on that too. But I'm a gain freak.
Me too. I was just dime it, right?
Yeah, so I'm trying to turn that preamp gain down a little bit as I get older, just to see what it sounds like, because I haven't done that before.
Yeah, well, your tones always sound great, and I always love the production and the sound of all your guys' albums. It's just always top notch. It's awesome. So
thanks, Bab.
Yeah. No, Bill, I want to thank you again for this part two. It's been a really great interview. Where should people keep up with you and FireHouse? You got the website, obviously, social media.
FireHousemusic.com is the band's. I got one at Leverty.com, and all our social media little links are on there, I think. So yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, I'll be sure to link it below and encourage people to check out the new song and follow in all the relevant places. Thank you very much.
Thank you, bro.